Sorry. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another action-packed hour of entertainment here on the end of the night. Hello, Joe. How are you?
I am awesome. How are you?
I'm very good. And before we start, like we start every show, I want to thank our wonderful sponsor, Film Hub. If you're an independent filmmaker or just a filmmaker who wants to get their film out on several platforms and available to millions and millions of households, look up Film Hub. They're great at distributing films. They have 4 of my films as we speak, and I've had nothing but good luck, and they're wonderful to work with. So check out Film Hub if you're an independent filmmaker.
Definitely. And if I may brag about my wife and daughter's business, Hearts of the Mystic Folk. They have homemade wax. See, I'm getting all Confucius here. Good Lord. See, I have to pull up things to remind me of what to say. Hearts of the Mystic Folk, check out the lines of all natural scented wax melts. That's what I always have a problem with. I don't know why. Available in a variety of fun and seasonal scents. Christmas is coming, guys. It's not too late to order. Go to the website now.
Yes, if you want to get them in time for Christmas, I would suggest that you order them soon because Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Please put a penny in Scott Schiaffo's hat. No. How are you, CJ? I hope you're well, my friend. I hope you are well.
Let's go through a few of these real fast if we could.
Libby, wonderful filmmaker, Libby McDermott. Check out her great film Darkness Waits on Tubi, starring Grunkle Scott Schiaffo. The very last appearance of the legendary Conrad Brooks. And even this schlep right here shows up in that wonderful film. So check it out on Tubi and all streaming platforms. Sean Smithson, nice to see you. Were you out on parole? I haven't seen you on this show in forever. So I hope you are well. Ken, how are you, my friend? I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Daniella, I saw on Daniella's Facebook page about a half hour ago, she was making some really delicious looking chow to eat while she was watching this train wreck of a show. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're able to keep your food down with watching us for an hour, but that's neither here nor there. And Ryan, how are you? I hope you're well. John, first time watching. Welcome aboard.
Well, thank you, John.
I hope you'll like this wonderful little program that we try to put together.
And CJ was trying to help me when I was bumbling over wax melts.
You were bumbling. Yeah. So Joe, how are you, my friend?
Fantastic. A couple of weeks away from Christmas. I'm on vacation from Christmas Eve to January 2nd. I'm ecstatic.
That's awesome. Next week will be, as people who are regular watchers of our program, next week will be our Christmas show. And people who watch this show will let you know that our holiday shows are just like mind-boggling all-star fiascos of famous people making fun of each other, usually me, that they're making fun of. And we have just a wonderful time. And next week is our Christmas show. It's going to be a star-studded event. And we're going to have a very, very special reading of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So stay tuned to see who's involved with that. And it's a wonderful little thing we got. Brandon, evening, David and Joe. Happy holidays. Looking forward to another great show. What show are you watching so me and Joe can tune over to it? No, thank you. I hope it's a great show too. What the guests like we have tonight, it's going to be nothing but outstanding. Joe, I know you you had a request of me, and you wanted me for the holiday season to possibly have some antique toys or cool toys. And in the green room beforehand, I told you I didn't, but I lied.
Well, from people who watched from the beginning for the past 2 or so years, David used to pull out antique toys and collectibles.
It's not the only thing David pulled out.
Him being an antique himself, he's right.
You're hanging around freaking Shepard too much.
And he also used to bring out old movies and everything. So we figured we'd start to recreate that tradition again. So what do you got for us tonight?
Well, I'm not sure if these are exactly antique toys, but they're numbered collectibles, and I think they're a couple years old. So the first thing, I don't know if you're into these toys, but are you into these Mego action figures?
Mego, absolutely. When I was a kid, those were just, I mean, is that a repop or?
This is I don't know what you mean by a repop. But
Reproduction.
No, this is a limited edition run of 10,000 Boris Karloff Frankenstein Megos. And this is number 1080 of 10,000. And I guess there was a gentleman named Marty Abrams who was the guy who created the original the pop line that we all loved as kids back in the 60s and 70s. And did I call it a pop? God, I'm such a buffoon. Mego line that we loved as a kid. But how cool is that? A Boris Karloff likeness of a Mego pop. I called it a pop again. I should literally we should have the Dave Gets a Full Frontal Lobotomy episode to see if I can get what's, I
may have the tools.
I went to the doctor last week and they x-rayed my head, and luckily they found nothing. But with that being said, here's another one. And this one's a little bit more in tune with something me and Grunkle Scott are working with. But this is really cool because it looks just like, it's the face of the Screaming Werewolf. And it looks just like the original Lon Chaney, Lawrence Talbot werewolf. But I guess there was a film called The Screaming Werewolf, but what the hell do I know?
I don't recall that, but okay.
You don't?
The Face of the Screaming Werewolf. I don't recall that movie. It's a Universal.
I guess, you know what? It's on the back. It says it was licensed by Chaney Entertainment. Mm-hmm. So I assume that's the original Lon Chaney, Lawrence Talbot werewolf that we all know and love. And it's funny because Grunkle Scott in the new film Full Moon Fever plays a character named Dr. Talbot. So there's a little synergy there. But this was number 1,111 of 5,000. So
I wish we could do a side by side to see if they look alike.
No, Grunkle Scott is clearly hairier than. I mean, this took hours of makeup, and Scott kind of just showed up and looked like that. 1964 for Face of Screaming. Oh, I guess there was. Look at Ken. He's pulling out the. So yeah, I guess there was a Face of the Screaming Werewolf.
You know what's the coolest thing about Mego back in the day?
Right.
It didn't matter if you were Marvel or DC or Universal. You showed up on their box. And
I know. I mean, you literally had I had Spider-Man fighting Superman. It was so cool because they just licensed everything when we were kids.
And there was no big Marvel DC dispute and licensing.
Captain Kirk, and they had the Star Trek dolls, if you remember, and the Gorn. The Gorn was one of the coolest ones.
Dave, action figures.
Okay, whatever. With that being said, also, as many of you who watch this show know that I spend Christmas Eve, actually, last year was the first time in a 4-year span that I had spent Christmas Eve at the Christmas Story House, the real Ralphie's house It's in, believe it or not, it's in Cleveland, Ohio. It's where it is. And I am one of the biggest Christmas Story fans in the entire world. I love that film. And this is actually a really, really hard figure to find, and I think it's been around for like 20 years. But here is the Darren McGavin Old Man Christmas Story action figure. And you can see it comes with him with like a kind of a pained look right there. And it comes with him with like an angry, he's fighting his furnace kind of look. And of course it comes with his major award. And I mean, what's cooler than a Darren, other than maybe a Roddy McDowell, Peter Vincent, or a Donald Pleasance, Dr. Loomis action figure? What's cooler than Darren McGavin as the old man from A Christmas Story?
So, I saw Cold Check with the leg lamp. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Who the hell's Kolchak?
What the hell? What did he
Carl
play?
Koshak. Carl Kolchak.
Kolchak. Okay.
Carl.
That was that horror show he was on.
Yes, where he played a reporter who fought monsters every week.
You see,
He
that was
fought a vampire. He fought a werewolf.
before
He
my
fought a
time.
Republican one week. It was great.
Yeah, I got the first syllable right. Whatever.
Absolutely. With that being said, let's introduce everybody to our lovely and amazingly talented co-host, star of many motion pictures, Clerks, the upcoming Clerks 3, Vulgar, Wits End, the upcoming Full Moon Fever. Ladies and gentlemen, the lovely and talented Grunkle Scott Schiaffo. Grunkle Scott, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. How you doing? How you doing, everybody?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I had an amazing week, actually, a birthday week, kind of. And this weekend actually is a sad thing, though. It's 17 years since my mom passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Not to bring us down, but I just want to remember her and mention it. She was
And
the
what
great
was your mom? What was your beautiful mom's name?
Florence.
Florence. Well, Florence Schiaffo, you should be looking down at heaven, from heaven, seeing all the wonderful things that your son Scott has achieved, and more importantly, Florence, you brought up a son who is not only kind, but is super generous and is beloved in the community he works. So good job, Florence. You did a good job with Scott.
Thank you, son.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week we got the big Christmas show. I'm excited. I could tell you that John O'Hurley will be on. I can tell you that Scott Schiaffo will be on. I can tell you Brian O'Halloran will be on. I can tell you Tiffany Shepard will be on. And the list, and your cheek will be on.
I'm getting that big. Maybe only one will fit in screen. Who knows?
Well, I
Damn
think
COVID.
people know that us three buffoons are going to be on. That kind of is like a given. What is
Alright.
CJ up to? Who is also in Linger. Welcome, Scott. Okay.
Thank you for mentioning that, CJ. That's one of my personal faves.
Okay. Well, now that I bored the audience to sleep with 15 minutes of my silly dribble, let's bring on our featured guest tonight. Just a wonderful, wonderful performer. Just a fantastic magician and wonderfully talented actor. And I'm
Comedian.
comedian. I mean, if I say all of this man's talents, I'll be here for, before the show ends.
Well, this is true.
Well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Murray SawChuck.
SawChuck.
SawChuck, that's what I said. Do you not understand English? Kolchak, SawChuck.
I'll take SawChuck. I've been called a lot of other names that are worse, so I'll take that. How
You know
guys-
what? You have like a Corey Haim thing going on tonight, Murray, with the
Yeah.
glasses and the hair. I like it.
Yeah.
It's really cool. You got a
Hanging
cool,
pears behind me,
you got a cool thing going on.
Well, I'm kind of envious of the hair, and you've worn that hairstyle for quite a while now. So, me being an 80s guy, I've got to ask, how many cans of Aquanet?
Oh, at least 3 a day. Come on now. I mean, to keep this thing up, look at that. If I could grow a beard like you, I would, but I can grow it up here. I just can't grow it down here. So, we all have our strengths.
Fair enough.
Well, I was going to start with asking you. When I was a kid, and I have a sneaky suspicion I am, much older than you are. But when I was a kid, I had a passion for magic, and there was almost weekly specials back when I was a kid of Doug Henning, who would do these great magic shows. And later on, was it David Copperfield? Is that his name, or is
Yep.
that the? Well, okay, David Copperfield.
That's right.
And David Blaine, all these wonderful, wonderful magicians. Tell me a little bit of who, when you were growing up as a young magician, who did you look up to, and who did you want to kind of style your act after?
Well, I saw David Copperfield. That was kind of my inspiration because, I was about 7, 8 years old when he was vanishing the Statue of Liberty, walking through the Wall of China, things like that. And so he was on, I think, ABC yearly, and when he first started, he was on those shows where he would actually bumper in the next season's stars. So he'd have his 1 hour special, but then his guests on the show were the stars of those sitcoms coming into that year. So he had a really good thing going on there because he could jump on their fame and become more famous. Really great thing. Now, before that, of course, it was Doug Henning, but that was before my era of getting into magic. But Copperfield saw a lot of what Doug was doing, and took his inspiration and became who he was, So I watched his stuff, thought it was amazing. I knew it wasn't a secret power. I knew it was a skill, and I thought it was super cool. So I thought that's kind of a cool thing. So when I was a kid and I wanted something for a birthday present or a Christmas present, I asked my uncle and aunt and my parents for a magic kit, and I got that, and I just started learning some tricks, and I thought, well, how can I make money on this? And at that time, I was taking lifeguarding lessons because lifeguarding was the highest paying job you could do at like 15 or 16 years old. It was like $14 an hour or something, at least in Vancouver, Canada, where I was living. And I liked swimming. I liked the whole thing. And so in the rec centers, they had these ads against the wall for selling bikes and cars. You rip the phone numbers off. And I thought, well, shit, if they can do that for a bike or a record player at the time, because they didn't have much out there, cassettes were just coming in. Why don't I put a magic show up there? And they ripped my phone number off and booked me for a kid's party or something. So that's kind of how it all started. So I kind of learned how to be an entrepreneur, and I learned how to make a buck off something that really doesn't make a lot of money in most cases.
Tell us a little bit about the very first tricks that you learned, because I remember when I was a kid, there was one where it looked like a little guillotine, and you'd put your finger in it, and on the bottom you'd put a cigarette.
Yeah.
And when you chopped it down, your finger would be fine, but the cigarette would break. What were some of the ones? Yeah. What were some of the ones that you had when you were first starting out?
I think growing up, there was two, these are things you learn off the box of a cereal box, the back of a box, they have those tricks that kids, or a Cracker Jack box, they have a thing in there. And the couple I learned was the jumping elastic bands, where you have it on 2 fingers and it jumps to the other 2. It's just the way you fold the elastic band around your hands, And I think a couple other was maybe an easy card trick where, you look at the card before the card that they pick, so they put a card down and you memorize the card before that. So when you put it on top of it, that card they chose is the one after the card that So you shuffle and mix them. And you hope to God they never split in half, which usually they don't. And so when you flip the deck over, you just find that card that about that was on top of the card that they picked, and then you find it, So I learned some kind of random tricks like that. I just like the fact that the reaction of people, and then that's why I stayed in the business. I love creating the awe and the laughter, and then of course I wanted to be funny because I'm just not a very serious person. When you look like a Q-tip, you can't be that serious. And so I thought, well, how can I be funny? So I started doing comedy clubs and stuff like that. Figuring out timing and bombing it 100,000 times till I got things right, and then now incorporating with magic, So,
it's funny. I in watching some of your clips and watching some of your performances, I get the idea that maybe, and I could be totally wrong, but were you inspired a little bit by the late Harry Anderson?
Oh, I love Harry Anderson. On Night Court, I'd watch him all the time, and he was just great. His timing was impeccable. We lost him way too soon. He passed away a few years ago, and I thought he was phenomenal. Very funny guy. Harry the Hat is what he went by.
Yeah, and he would do that wonderful trick where he would take a a knitting needle and put it through his forearm in front of like live crowds.
And he really did it. He actually could really do it.
Oh, that's
that
how
wasn't even a trick. It actually went through his arm. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That wasn't even. Yeah. No. It's a circus sideshow stunt. You know, if you put it in the right place, it's not going to hurt. You know.
Right.
But I don't want to try the 90 times that you miss. You know, to figure out the spot you got to put the damn thing in. You know. So I avoided that trick.
No, I mean, I used to. He had a sophistication to his magic and to his performance that made it really cool.
Yeah, well, he did a lot of street busking when he started, Jackson Square, New Orleans, you know, stuff like that, where he started, you know, and so he had that gift of the gab. That's why he's called Harry the Hat. You know, always wore a hat, and he put a hat down, of course, for busking and all that stuff, and then of course he moved on to bigger and better things, you know. But
yeah, I think he started. He was doing guest appearances on Cheers, and then ultimately got Night Court from that.
Yep.
What are your impressions of the person that is considered the greatest magician of all time, Harry Houdini? What are your thoughts on the performances he had and on the tricks that he did when he was in his heyday?
Well, he's a legend. You know, when you're in the dictionary, you know, and the thesaurus, that you done something right, you know, and he's one of those guys where people don't realize his real talent was PR. He's probably the greatest publicist in the world. You know what I mean? When he did his escapes and when he did his stunts in the various cities, he purposely makes sure when he hung upside down a straitjacket or wherever escape he was trying to do, he'd do it in front of the major newspaper, you know, exactly right in front of their offices. So, you know, you're wondering what to write that day. You see a guy dangling by his nuts outside the window. You're like, you know what? Let's write about that guy. That's pretty awesome. You know, and you're like, oh, I wonder who he is. Oh, his name's Harry Houdini. He's nuts. And then there was a crowd of, 5,000 people below there because there was no internet, no TV at the time. You know, it was a spectacle, something for people to do. And so he always got in the newspapers, always got great press because he would do stuff at the right place at the right time, and doing the right thing, which is what we live by if you're in entertainment. It's all about timing. You can be really talented, but if you're in the middle of a diner in the middle of Oklahoma and no one knows about you, it really doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Brandon E. Brooks, who's a wonderful filmmaker himself, has a question for you. How was it working with the Wacky Reno 911 crew?
Oh, it was great. They were great people. I mean, remember when I worked with them, that was a long time ago. So I did the pilot season. So I was on episode 4 or 6. I think it was 6, and of the first season. So I called it Reno 911. It wasn't out yet. Like all I had was a script. And these people that were supposed to be really great improv actors from Comedy Central, they had a few things going on. Thomas Lennon, of course, who now Thomas Lennon has a big name, but he wrote the thing with a couple of his buddies there. And I remember going to set. I arrive, I get the audition, I got the call. So I drive in from Vegas, I do the audition. Halfway back to Vegas, I get the phone call. You got the job, which is awesome because, as you know, you never get that with a phone call or an audition. You usually get a call back and a bunch of other things. So that was kind of nice. But it was never out there, so it wasn't a famous show. So okay, great, a few $100 in my pocket, another thing that'll never go anywhere. So great, something. So I come back the next few weeks to shoot this thing, and we pull in this lot in North Hollywood, and I drive in at like 7 a.m. because at the time I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't want to get a hotel the night before. I didn't have a name, so they're not going to get all this stuff for me. So I bump in, and I pull in my buddy who left. He's a guest act in my show and best friend of mine. And he's a consultant of mine that always travels with me. And we pull in, and I see this shady-looking parking lot, crappy little table set up. And I thought, oh, God, here we go. So I pull in. No one's there. I said, hey, guys, hop in the van, bring your tricks. We'll take you to set. I'm like, oh, here we go. And we drive down the street. We go 4 blocks down. I kid you not, we make this right turn. And as soon as we make this right turn, I was beside myself. There was like 5 cop cars on flatbeds, 7-star wagons, and 4 blocks blocked off. And I turn around, and I went, what are they shooting on this street? They were like, we're shooting Reno 911. I said, oh, I'm shooting Reno 911. I don't know what you And he's like, this is the budget they have for this. And I was like, wow. So I get out. So I'm kind of like, oh my God, I better prepare myself a little better. Because I thought, oh, it's some student thing. Or I didn't really pay much attention. And so say, Mr. SawChuck, we'll walk you to your trailer. Like, I got a trailer? Like, I've never had a trailer in my life. I haven't even had a trailer when I was a kid camping. So I'm walking down the street, and it's like Moore Park and something or other. And I'm walking down, and I go past this security guard. Now, don't forget, I don't know anything about the show. It's never been on the air. So I know it was just we pulled over drunk and do tricks. That was the thing. And that was it. So I brought a bunch of tricks with me, which I never owned. I don't have a top hat. I don't have a rabbit. I don't have flowers. That's not the kind of magician I am, but that's what they wanted. So I had to go to a magic store to buy all this crap to begin with, to look like the magician they thought I was being. So I'm walking down to these wagons, and I go past the one production trailer, and there's this guy wearing super tight shorts, like, and super short top. And I walk by, and I'm like, hey, pleased to meet you. And I keep walking by, and I lean over to my buddy and go, wow, those shorts are sure tight. I mean, you think the guy can get a proper outfit? I had no idea who he was. So I go, because I thought he was security. I thought, well, North Hollywood, what the hell? So I go into my trailer, and we're sitting there, and my buddy says, hey, you might want to consider putting this magic shit together. Like, you better figure out what you're doing, because it looks like they have quite the budget. It's like, looks like a real deal. I said, yeah, 'cause I had no idea. I was supposed to pull all the stuff out of my jacket, but you can't pull stuff out of your jacket naturally like that. Like, it's like Inspector Gadget. You have to have stuff layered, like it's an actual act. So we spent 2 hours in the trailer trying to do this. All of a sudden, I'm ready. I'm there at 7 a.m. Noon comes, lunch. I'm like, so as you guys know, I'm like, great, I haven't done a goddamn thing. So we go sit down for lunch. Finally, I eat. I literally cut into my steak after everyone else has got something. And they go, hey, we need Murray to the set. So still haven't had nothing to eat. I get back up. I go, all right, let's go do this thing. And thank God I practiced for 2 hours how to pull stuff out, because now I realize I'm really doing a real thing, whether it was going to go anywhere or not. We go into set with Wendy, who was the girl I was working with for the scene. Walk past that cop again with a super tight shorts, and now he's like behind on a director's chair. I'm thinking, that's weird. Security sitting on a director's chair. So I walk by, and I see the thing in the back, Thomas Lennon in the back. I didn't know who Thomas Lennon was at the time. So I asked one of the grips. I said, hey, what that guy in the chair? I said, who is he? He said, oh, he's your boss. I said, really? I said, like, boss meaning what? Like, he funded it? Or he said, no, he wrote the goddamn thing. I said, really? I said, his name's Thomas Lennon. Now he wrote Night at the Museum and all this other stuff. Obviously, we know what he's done. But I didn't know at the time. I thought he was a security guard for the trailer I walked by, and I had no idea he wrote the damn thing, and he actually booked me. So that's the long short of it. So we did this thing. We did 4 takes of it, and I went away, and that was it. And I thought it was crap. I thought this is not even going to get off season 1, not even episode 1. I thought I'm lucky if my episode will air. And it worked, and it became a cult. It became a cult thing, I guess. But I never got it until it aired, and I went, oh, now I see what they're doing.
That's an
wow.
awesome
That
story.
is a very cool, amazing story, man.
Sorry it's so long, but I had to kind of get to
No, man. We really appreciate stories from within the business, behind the scenes. That is an amazing story.
That's exactly what we're about. So that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
And I still don't know what's funny about the show, but I still watch it. So what the hell? Right? And Thomas and I are dear friends. I mean, we don't hang out, but I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great writer and a very great actor. He's been in so many things now.
So obviously we look at IMDb and everything, and seeing you as a world champion magician at the age of 19, what did that entail?
Well, I was a hell of a lot younger. Where did the years go? Talk about making the years vanish, man. 19, God, I wish I was there now. I always had a dream or a goal. I was always, I grew up, I had older parents, so I grew up watching the Lawrence Welk show. I grew up watching Liberace. I grew up watching Dolly Parton Christmas specials. Howard Stern on random shows where he flew in from a cable, as Fart Man and stuff like this. All these people that were such unbelievably talented people at branding, and I thought, man, if I don't know who they are, at least they look like somebody that they should be a star, and so when I was younger, I thought, well, that's half the battle, so as I started trying to get a career and figure out what I was going to do to be somewhat talented, I wanted to look at a brand, so I was trying all sorts of things, slicked my hair back, wore glasses, didn't wear glasses, messed my hair up, and until I kind of came up with this, because no magician was kind of looking weird and like this, every magician was black hair, goatee, very mystical and trying to be serious. And it just wasn't my thing, So I just tried things when I was young to be good at something. So I thought if I could be famous in the magic world, that's better than not being famous at all, So I thought, well, let's start small and get a name. So I created an act with compact discs and CDs, which I started in 1998 when they first came out, because I worked at a department store that sold CDs. They only had one row of them. Everything else had cassette tapes. Everyone could not believe when you played these things. It sounded like the band was in your house. It was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And they were like $32 a CD. And the return CDs were just sitting there. So I started playing with them, and I'd manipulate them with like cards and coins because they're flat. So I basically took every card and coin trick you can imagine, and I repurposed it for a compact disc, a CD. So I created this act, and it became very successful for me. And that's what I won my awards by, because I look very trendy and very modern. And so for 15 years, I toured the world with this manipulation act. Like you'd see a magician do an act with birds or cards or something with CDs, you know. But I knew there was a shelf life, you know, for that, because everything changes. And now obviously that act is out of date. And that's why it's never been done for about 10 years, you know. But it served its purpose, you know, got me on TV. And it got me out there, you know, and I got some attention from it. So yeah.
I was going to ask, because I'm a big fan of the show Pawn Stars, and you appeared on many, many episodes. How did you get involved with that show? And do you have a particular episode that you're particularly fond of?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate. Rick has been is a very dear friend of mine, and Chum and Corey, and of course the old man when he's around. They're like family now, and they really are who they are. There's no acting. That's who they are. And they really owned a pawn shop. You know, they really worked in it. There's nobody that's on the show that isn't what they're doing, you know, like a lot of the reality shows. So I think that's why it's been around for so long. It's still on the air, because that's what they do. You know, I got called in. I just came off of America's Got Talent 2010 as a semifinalist. A lot of hype from that. And they were in their first or second season of Pawn Stars. And that was like the #1 reality show on TV for that genre. You know, that's what spawned, you know, Storage Wars and all these other pawn type shows, you know, or anything in that. There's always American Pickers, and them kind of came up at the same time. But before that was Antique Roadshow, which is very kind of dry, classical. So they really changed that gamut. So they
your
brought
tongue.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And they brought that gamut around, right? And so I had an interview because they wanted to go on the road and do this touring pawn show. So people would bring their stuff. You know, we tour and I'd be the host, and there'd be live cameras, 4 live feeds and a switcher. And they'd bring stuff to the guys sitting on stage, and they'd actually do the live kind of thing just as a show. That was their show. And they wanted to host. Well, since I came off America's Got Talent with a lot of people watching me, they said, hey, would you host the show, through a dear friend of mine named Adam Steck. He owns Spy Entertainment here in Vegas. He produces a lot of shows. And I said, sure, let's give it a shot. So I walk in, I meet Rick. He doesn't know who I am. I barely even know who they are. And I obviously look a lot different. I walk in, have a meeting, walk out. After I walk out, he asks Adam Steck, who's my dear friend who's producing the tour, says, who the hell's that gay guy? Like, what? He's going to host us? He doesn't even have one tattoo on his body. And we're like overweight, tattooed. We fix cars and hang out and do what? Really? That's the guy? We're going to have Prince host a goddamn show. And so anyways, so Adam Steck convinced them to take me on. We did a couple shows. They liked it. And then we went on the road for like 6 months to a year. And about 6 months down into our tour, them thinking I was still gay, somehow I was sitting in the lobby somewhere. I think we were in Minnesota or Mystic Lake or something like that. And one of the casinos. And Corey sits down beside me, still hungover. And he's like, so you're not gay? I said, no, I never said I was gay. I look gay. I said, I'm not gay. He says, why? I might be gay. Why? You don't think I'm gay? He's like, I just saw a girl walk out of your room this morning. We were on tour. I said, oh. I said, yeah. I said, you haven't said a thing to us for the last 6 months. I said, you've probably had one of the best times on tour for the last 6 months. I said, yeah, had a great time. I said, I'm a magician. I don't tell my secrets. So I've become very dear friends over the last 10 years, and I do their show every season. I do 1 to 5 episodes a season, and Rick's been very gracious with that. So it's been a great show. You know, we just finished filming a bunch of episodes this last week. So
That's awesome. Hi, Carrie. Thank you for joining us. I see that you did an episode of, and I love these guys. I think they are not only comic geniuses, but awesome magicians. And they've been around for, I think, almost 35 years. I seen you did the Penn and Teller show. Can you tell us a little bit about how that episode went, and did you fool them?
Yeah, well, so no, I didn't fool them. But when I got asked to do the show, it's interesting because they're legends, right? They're phenomenal magicians. They're in Vegas. I'm in Vegas. I've done my time a little bit, but they're about twice my age, a little less. And people wanted to go on the show, and I thought, well, at my level, if I go on the show, I should win. This is how you think as a business person, right? Why would I go on the show and lose if I'm so good at what I'm doing? But it's pretty hard to fool them. They've been around for years. The same as me. If you show me a trick, it's going to be pretty hard to fool me. I've been doing it for a long time. So I thought, well, I just got this trick from my mentor. My mentor's name is Marvin Roy. He went by the stage name Mr. Electric because he lit light bulbs in the palms of his hands magically, like a 1,000-watt light bulb. You could see the bottom of it, see the top of it, and he'd light the thing up. And you couldn't even look at the stage. He got it so bright. And to this day, people still don't know how he did it. And he was my mentor. Phenomenal. We just lost him last year at 95 years old in Palm Springs, but we're very close. And he's the reason I'm where I'm at and why I'm at, being different, looking different, and just trying to be just a little off center, And he was nice enough to give me his milk in light bulb trick, where you pour milk in a funnel. You have a light bulb on stage, a big bulb lit, and then you vanish the milk in this funnel, which is kind of an old trick. And all of a sudden, the light bulb goes out, the white light bulb, which is lit. And then all of a sudden, you pour milk out of the light bulb that was just lit into this huge pitcher. And that's his. And it's a great. So I asked him, I'd like to do a little tribute to you in my show. And he doesn't do the act anymore. So he was nice enough I think it was on his 93rd birthday. He said, Murray, I'd love to, gift that to you. And yes, you have the permission to perform it. And it's yours. Good luck with it and make it yours. So I offered it to the CW casting people first before I ever did on TV anywhere else. I said, hey, I have this. Marvin Roy hasn't done on TV for 30 years. I have it. I'd love to do it, but I want to do it as a tribute. I know I'm probably not going to fool them, but I have such a big, respect for history. And they're like, oh my God, we'd love you to do that because it hasn't been done on the show. It hasn't been on TV for years. And if you're cool, if you come off not fooling them, if you're okay with that. So I'm not going to fool them. We've all in the business seen that act for 50 years, but I think it'll be a nice throwback and it'll be a nice tribute to my mentor. So we basically made the whole, my whole section on that episode about Marvin Roy and how great he was and that I was doing his trick. So at the end, of course, I didn't fool them, but I positioned myself up. So I already knew I wasn't fooling them, it was more of a tribute performance for Penn and Teller. And they appreciate it because their mentor, Johnny Thompson, who passed away recently as well, Johnny Thompson and Marvin Roy, they toured together for years. So they had a very, very equal respect for their mentor as I did. So I think there's a little bit of, equality there. So yeah, it was fun. The show's great. So well produced. And Penn and Teller, like I said, they're legends in the business. So
now, in addition to being a wonderful magician, you're also an actor. Tell us a little bit about some of the roles you've played and some of the films you've been in.
For me, I never really consider myself an actor. I'm just kind of me. You know what I mean? Like, to me, an actor, I consider like Johnny Depp, Tom Hanks. We can watch Tom Hanks be a Russian, and then we watch him be a homeless person right after it, and we accept it. I mean, that's pretty amazing. For most actors, it's like Tom Cruise. He's always running, and it's Tom Cruise. Same with Michael J. Fox, always in an office, running around a desk, But that's okay. For 30 years, 40 years, it's paid the bills. So for me, if I get cast, usually as a magician, or the guy next door, or maybe an 80s rock and roller, which I just had a Hulu ad just air on Monday Night Football, where I'm a judge and I'm playing this kind of like rocker guy. I know my role, and I know it's not a far stretch for me. Would I like a challenge to do something interesting? And I would. But not many films budgets would put their money on me compared to Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise, So I know my role, and when it comes along, I go for an audition. And my agents know what I fit in pretty well. So when I walk in, I'm me. So either take it or leave it, I'll stretch a little bit, whatever they want, if they really want to use me for something, But usually the magician, kind of the weird cousin guy next door, that's or the ridiculous, maybe it's the gay uncle. Maybe that's my look. So I do enjoy acting. I love to do a lot more of it. So I think it's entertaining, and I don't have to worry about being just me all the time, And somebody's written the lines. So I just need to learn them and say them properly versus me trying to be funny all the time, write my own stuff.
Now, I see you were in an episode of CSI Vegas. Is that aired yet?
Yeah, it aired a few months ago. It was the opening episode of the new season, because they rebooted it all. And it's called CSI Vegas, which ironically, when CSI started, for a lot of people who don't know or know, they actually started in Vegas. They just never called it CSI Vegas. So yeah, we shot that. I played a magician, very small role. It was a cameo, but they needed somebody to back palm a card and be a street magician. And then my wife, Danny, she actually played a showgirl as well, which ironically, she is a showgirl. So my role is not a lot of depth in it. It's kind of what you're getting, So I'm okay with it.
Brandon E. Brooks says, I remember watching Ring of Darkness on VHS back in the day. Adrienne Barbeau was in it. So I guess he's referring to a film that you worked on.
Yes, way, that's way back. That's funny. Ring of Darkness. Yeah, we filmed that in the Valley. Yeah.
I was in a movie with Adrienne Barbeau called Malevolence 3.
Really? How
Small
long ago
world.
was that?
Oh, just like 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, Mr. Ridgely, I know that you look like you're chomping at the bit.
I'm enjoying the hell out of myself right now.
Yeah, this is great.
This is friggin' fantastic.
Great stories, man.
Absolutely. But we do have another person I'd like to bring up, if I may. Mr. Scott Meaney, who is a writer, director, actor, artist, and just an all-around great guy, Mr. Scott Meaney.
Hello.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Very good, very good. David, Scott, Joe, nice to see you. Murray, this is amazing. I really
What's up,
enjoy
Scott?
I really enjoy you in that.
Hello, Camden Toy. I'm sorry.
Joe told me last night that you were coming on, and he invited me on, and I was like really psyched about it.
Thanks, man. I like your glasses. You got a great look. I like the glasses. They match your shirt and the whole bit. I love it.
You too, man. I love your glasses too.
I actually need them because I couldn't see a goddamn thing. Like right now, you're all one person. You're actually all just one big eyeball.
Nice.
Like that Monsters movie, that one eye. That
Yeah, no, definitely. But no, I'm just a big fan, and I love magic since I was a kid. I used to do it, from like ages like 14 to like 20, especially with parties and stuff. And it's still something I collect and I follow to this day. And I've seen you on Penn and Teller. I've seen you all over the place, and you're just fantastic. You're just funny. And comedy magicians is tough. A comedy magician is it's a tough thing to pull.
it's not easy.
A lot of people want that serious smoke and mirror and stuff like that, and I just love it. Your crowd work is amazing.
Thanks. Well, I try. When I did the comedy thing, I'd go to LA. I'd have my show at the Frontier Hotel. This is back in 2002, and I'd drive into LA and I'd wait in that sidewalk at Laugh Factory on a Tuesday to pull a name for that first 15 people to do 3 minutes, and then I'd go over to on Mondays. I'd do the potluck. I'd go pull a ticket over a Comedy Store to go do the following Monday just to be funny. I would never do any magic. I would just try to do lines I wrote, and it was weird because I was in Vegas already performing. My friends were like, "You're nuts! You already got a show." I said, "Yeah, but I'm not funny. I got to learn how to be funny." And so I'd have 10 jokes, 9 would bomb, and 1 would hit. And then I'd go back to Vegas and put the one that hit in the show. And I'd either throw out the 9 or figure them out. And so it really you do got to section things off. If you want to learn how to tap dance and act, don't do it at the same time. Learn how to tap dance over there, and be really good. Learn how to act, and then once you're confident at both, then try to make it. Don't try it at once because they'll all go to crap on you. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Did anyone the question I always want to know, because especially when I see someone who does like amazing crowd work, is like I know we all you've grown up loving magicians and being inspired by magicians, but who's the person that wasn't a magician that sort of inspired your rapport with the audience or your type of humor? Who was the the actor, the comedian, the all-around cool guy or girl?
that's a great question. No one ever asked me that question because it's never a magician. It was Fred Astaire and Danny Kaye.
Oh, that's amazing.
So those are my 2 people. And as a magician, another magician that if I had to look at somebody, it was Cardini. Cardini's a magician in the 30s. And he was a drunk magician. He acted as a drunk magician, dressed to the nines, and he acted as surprised as you were at his magic because he was very bumbling. But I grew up watching Fred Astaire. He would be the reason I went into entertainment. I just couldn't believe how he moved, how he acted, how he danced, just everything. I just thought that was phenomenal. And then Danny Kaye, I just loved his straight face. I mean, I'm sure that's where Steve Martin got a lot of it from. A lot of the other greats in the 70s and 80s that look back, because Danny Kaye was a very funny man.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's amazing. That's amazing. Because I just see you're just very fluid, and we're talking about Harry Anderson, and I love Harry Anderson, but Harry Anderson, he was like a huckster. So he was supposed to seem a bit rehearsed. He was supposed to seem like he was picking you out. You were a mark, and you're somebody that just you'll go into the audience. They're not always up on the stage. You're somebody that's very hands-on with the audience because it's sort of like, hey, we're all having fun together, and you never seem to waver. sort of I've never seen you miss a beat, man. It's fantastic.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I look forward to it now. When I was my 20s, when somebody yelled out or I saw something funny, I didn't know how to get there, and I didn't want to break that. But then obviously when you take those risks more, you have success, right? And then every time you have that success, you remember that joke or that line, and you can use it again, in the same capacity. So all of a sudden, by the time you're in your 30s or 40s, you have this Rolodex of one-liners of if somebody's bald or overweight or yelling or being a pain in the ass or doesn't understand English or you can't understand their name when they tell you, you just go to that Rolodex and you pick one of them, and it comes out, and it's something that you got to practice all the time though. You always got to think that way,
Yeah, no, you're fantastic, like I said, and I'm just glad that magic is sort of back in the zeitgeist of the culture and stuff. I mean, and it's bigger and better. There's more women. There's it's fantastic. I mean, the fact that Penn and Teller's on every weekend.
Yeah.
A weekday. I mean, like, there was a time period where, like, for some reason it just fell apart. Then you get David Blaine where it has to be this cool street magic, but like we've seen to sort of evened out where it's like this is an art.
Yes.
There's all different versions of this art.
Yes. I just shot my first live comedy special 3 weeks ago here in Vegas at the Plaza Hotel. It's one of the last old hotels that have the booths, the tiered seating, that Vegas is known for. And the Flamingo Hotel is the only other place that has that in Vegas left. And I know the owners there very well. So we shot it, and now we're just in the editing process. We're hoping to get it to Netflix or Hulu sometime mid-February. And it's my first time doing an actual full comedy special. But I've seen so many people put stuff out there, and someone's like, let's just do it. And I said, I think it's about time. So yes, we had a great time, and now they're in the editing process of doing it. And we had a real good time. I mean, the nice thing is, I said, I really don't want that canned laughter. If it's not funny, we just cut it. If it didn't work that night, take it out. I don't want to do that regular kind of like Three's Company or Cheers where you hear that canned laugh, even Friends, things are funny, but it's not that funny,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I want to be true to it. You know what I'm saying? So I think we get accustomed to it. So I think you can get away with it, but I kind of want to be a little more true to it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too. I want to see what people's reactions are.
I'm definitely excited for that. Murray, I know we somewhat had a time limit, so I'm actually going to ask you, can you please tell the audience where they can find you on social media and where they can find your shows and tickets and the whole 9 yards?
Sure. Yeah, I'm heading off to my show in about 20 minutes at the Luxor, but I have my show nightly at the Tropicana Hotel here in Las Vegas. And then I also do a guest spot in a show called Fantasy at the Luxor. It's been running for over 22 years now. It's a burlesque type show, phenomenal show. And then I'm on Pawn Stars weekly. I'm on CW's Masters of Illusion. And then my newest thing coming up, I think the first or second week in January, I'll be on Judge Jerry Springer's brand new show. We filmed about 3 or 4 months ago. And I'm suing somebody, and I can't tell you what it's about, but it's Jerry Springer, so you'll enjoy it. It'll be very funny.
And you have your fan page on Facebook as well, where they can follow you.
Facebook,
Instagram.
YouTube. Yep. Google my name, and you'll see more than you ever want to see. So.
Well, Murray, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you. Anytime you wish to pop on the show, just give us a call. We are family here on the Indie Escape on the end of the night. And again, thank you. Have a wonderful holiday season. You're an awesome entertainer. You're an awesome storyteller, and you're an awesome guy. Thank you for doing the show.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas, you guys. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah, all that stuff. And thanks again for having me on. Thanks for taking the time.
Merry Christmas, Murray.
Merry Christmas, you guys. Take care. Bye. Be safe.
We could have done easily 2 hours with him.
Awesome stories, man. Awesome
Right?
stories. Wow.
You know what's funny, guys? I was I was in my pajamas all day because it was Sunday and I didn't want to get out of them. And I wear like these Pa Ingle pajamas that like literally like one piece like feety pajama Pa Ingle things. So I didn't want to go on the show with just when people go back and watch this show from the beginning, you'll see like I had like a blue thing under here. But I just threw a sweatshirt over my feety pajamas to do the show because I'm a top-notch professional. And as the show went on, I was literally turning red like a fucking lobster and was about to pass out. So I typed to Joe very discreetly, "Joe, put me off camera for 30 seconds so I could take my gosh damn feety pajama top off and just put the sweatshirt back on. So I apologize to all of you gentlemen for disappearing for a moment. But if I didn't, I literally would have passed out, which would have been great for ratings. But I would have literally passed out. I was starting to see spots and turning red because
what he really IM'd me was, Joe, take me off camera for a moment. I gotta undo the 2 buttons on my ass flap on my onesie.
Yes. Oddly enough, this doesn't have an ass flap, but it does literally have feeties.
Oh my. Oh my.
And do you know how difficult it is to find feety pajamas for somebody who's 6'7"? It's not easy.
But why are you wearing them?
What?
Why
am I wearing them? Because I live, and Scott Schiaffo will attest to this, I live on top of a mountain in Pennsylvania, and it's like negative 30 degrees outside all the time. And I wanted to, David disappeared. Yeah, I disappeared, yeah. I made my feety pajamas disappear. And on Sundays, I literally, this is my, I call it the green room in my house because it has a green carpet. And it's also where I edit my movies and where I sit around on Sundays and I watch my football and I curse at my fantasy football team. And I was literally in my feety pajamas. Like I was watching the game. I was like, holy shit, the show starts in 5 minutes. So I just threw a sweatshirt on, like one of these hoodie kind of sweatshirts. And, I learned that you shouldn't put a hoodie sweatshirt on a full body suit of feety pajamas in a house that's already like 72 degrees, unless you want to see spots and
72 degrees is freaking phenomenal.
Oh yeah, no, it is. I have no idea. David is staying in true to the type of PJs we saw. Yes, that's right. When I'm in the Christmas Story house, which will not be this Christmas again because my wife won't let us go because of COVID, but it's already booked for next year. I will be walking around in my Ralphie pajamas on Christmas Eve. There's something really weird about watching A Christmas Story on Christmas Eve because it's on TBS on Christmas Eve for like 24 consecutive hours. There's something really weird about watching A Christmas Story while on Christmas Eve while you're sitting in the Christmas Story house. It's very, very strange, but it's cool. So
That's pretty meta, man.
yeah, it's pretty wild. But this year I'll be sitting up here on a mountaintop. Well, I'm sorry I hijacked my show with my stupidity. You guys I know have some stuff that you need to talk about. So be my guest. I'm going to just sit here and see if I could get the spots to go away.
You got to hydrate.
True. Hydrate.
When you go back and watch this episode, you will see that I'm pounding waters and then I start to turn like lobster red. But I look like a buffoon every week, so I guess it would be difficult to see any difference from this week.
Susie, you just lost your cool card. I'm sorry.
Ooh, that's rough.
Ooh, wow.
I used to like you, Susie.
How do you avoid that? How do you get away from that movie?
Yeah. You can't even avoid it.
I want to, but I couldn't avoid it if I tried.
So, Susie, did you see It's a Wonderful Life, or have you avoided that one too? I'm curious because it's kind of like those movies kind of go hand in hand.
No, I think she just IM'd me and said she's a bigger fan of A Christmas Story Part 2.
Oh, yes. Everybody loves A Christmas Story Part 2, where Ralphie gets his car.
I had no idea that was even a thing.
What?
There's a Christmas Story too?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And you know what's so horrifying about it? Daniel Stern, who's a very good actor, plays
Ralphie's father.
Ralphie's father, Darren McGavin's part, and is so unbelievably pathetic at it that I'm surprised the ghost of Darren McGavin didn't strike him down with lightning because it's just such a bad movie. She saw It's a Wonderful Life. It's getting a thing.
How old is Ralphie in it?
He's a
teenager.
late teenager. Yeah. He's right about the time you would get your first car or your license.
But given with the story, wasn't that...
It's not Peter Billingsley. It was made in, I think, the early 2000s, wouldn't you say, Joe?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Peter Billingsley was already working on creating the MCU with Favreau.
And there's even another movie based on the guy who wrote the books.
Oh, that's Charles Grodin plays the old man in that one. And I think Macaulay Culkin's brother plays Ralphie. But it's not in the story of A Christmas Story.
Right.
But I digress.
Somebody's got to tell us, and that was written by somebody quite
Gene Shepard.
right. There you go. I couldn't think of who that was.
I am a Rankin Bass fan. Christmas isn't Christmas without Rudolph. Year without Kenneth, I agree with you to an extent, but Rudolph, when you watch it as an adult, you realize what a nasty prick Santa is, and you don't want to go through life thinking Santa is a nasty prick, because he's a prick to Rudolph in the beginning. All the other reindeers are pricks. Like, if Rudolph came and killed them all at the end, you'd be cheering for Rudolph, and you don't really want that in a Christmas
I think
special.
they did that on Robot Chicken. But
Did
anyway,
they?
the Island of Misfit Toys. We're the Island of Misfit Toys.
Yes.
Anyway, so we've got some cool stuff going on. So, you know what? I'm going to rearrange people a little. I'm going to put Mr. Schiaffo there. I'm going to put Mr. Meaney there and David there.
All out of my chair.
Well, as far as segues, speaking of Christmas specials,
What a
is
segue.
that not where we're going?
Yes. So, all right. So, what do you guys want to know? Ask me a question to get me started, because I have no idea where to start. You see, these posters, these aren't the real poster. Really isn't even out yet. These are just the teaser things we've been throwing up, but we've been having a lot of fun with them. I wish I had more time to kind of work on them.
That is cool.
Yeah, with this is that, when you see the eyes of the puppets, you'll understand the symbols and the headlights and stuff like that. But we are doing a 45-minute holiday special done in the vein of sort of a 1980s star-studded celebrity thing without stars, with weird parodies. And it's a musical with puppets, and it's an homage to horror movies. There's no digital effects. Everything is handmade. We got, just a bunch of people. We linked up with I don't know, it's a lot, but we have a trailer here tonight, basically, that we put together. And I worked with this guy, Thomas Fucaloro. He's a poet from the island where I live. I had contacted him, about a year ago, because this started right when COVID really hit, and then it is adorably horrific. That's Thomas, everybody. But it started right when COVID hit. So we were going to do this in 3 months, and then it turned into something that took almost a year to do, because it was literally learning safety protocols, building a stage, building things in masks. We just couldn't get it all done in time, And we did shoot last July, and which was great because we were all vaccinated. We actually finally made the journey. So 99% of this was all actually done online this film. So all the direction theory, all the writing, all the blocking, everything is pretty much done online. Everyone learned how to puppeteer online. We just sort of figured out a way to just take all that time we had, and we just wanted to make something beautiful. Because the idea with this special has never been to be the world's biggest thing or we just wanted to make people really happy during a Christmas we knew people weren't really going to be that happy. Granted, we missed it. Okay. And we weren't very happy, but it gave us time to make something, I think, that is much more polished, and it's an after holiday special. It's not a Christmas special. It's not a Hanukkah special. It's an after holiday special. And it's a special about, we never enjoy the holidays when we're in them. Where, people are working, people are buying gifts, people are just losing their mind because, Aunt Ida's lost her stuff, whatever it may be. It's never. So the idea was, have a holiday where it's reflective. That day after, where you look back on Christmas and you're like, yeah, well, now that they're not here, I do miss them. And there's this beautiful thing about it. We humans are so great at taking things for granted, but we're also great with realizations later on. And, so what we just made is sort of a love letter to the horror movies I grew up with, comedy that we all grew up with, and we got Matt and Libby from Darkness Waits, as I think all your viewers know, and as you know, I got Matt in as the cinematographer. We got Libby in as the assistant director. They both came on and produced with me with Limatic Productions.
Limatic Productions,
yeah,
absolutely.
Limatic Films. I'm sorry.
Limatic Films, yes.
I don't mean to misspeak. And then we joined up with there's a charity on Staten Island that I've been working with for almost a decade called Where to Turn. And what Where to Turn does is they do the senior prom every year. They do community cleanups. They have tons of programs. They just did the 9/11 quilt. They just paid to have the 9/11 quilt put on display at St. John's University here. And the guy, Dennis McKeon, who runs Where to Turn, started this prop shop, which is now a community prop shop, where anybody in the community making a movie, making a play can come, put a deposit down, and for free they can take whatever props and then they put it back. And I was just going down there one day, and basically what winds up happening is I just said, I'm looking for a few props. We've been working together because he does this thing called the Beatles Blast every year, where he throws a huge Beatles concert at the St. George Theater, which is a big theater on Staten Island. And basically what winds up happening is he gets this band called the Blue Meanies to play, and they do like a cover of all the Beatles stuff. He's a genius. And he put this prop shop together. I know I'm rambling, it's late. And we just basically, he let us have the space. He let us build a studio in there. He hooked us up with this great carpenter, Curtis Kwasnicki, who just came in and, helped build stages and, he just built props that we didn't have. Then we got some great people in the community to come in and just be assistants. So there's so much more to the story, and I could go on for decades about this. But what we're going to do is in January, we are going to have a live premiere on the Indie Escape Network for free for everyone to watch. And we're going to have a little bit of a pre-show before. We're going to have a Q&A afterwards where we can talk all about it. And we're going to air our 45-minute retro horror special right in between, and you can see why we should all have been locked up.
Sweet.
And the number one thing I got to say, not the number one thing, but another thing I have to say is it's a musical, okay? I did write the music, but that guy over there came in and basically wrote a song, with us, and he does the ending number. The holiday spirit has been drinking. It's amazing, because me and Scott have worked together. Exactly. Me and Scott have worked together in a lot of things, but this is the first time we've done music, which is.
Yeah, it was phenomenal that you asked for what you asked, and the inspiration you gave me to do it was something near to me. And I'm very happy with how that came out, and it's so awesome to be a part of it. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, we just kept. I mean, because I wrote. There's three songs in the movie. Scott wrote the closing number with us, and it's just he's a much better musician than I. Hands down. And the number definitely called for that. But he took the piece and he made it something even that was a little bit different than what we were thinking, and it just turned out to be fantastic. And we just gushed over it. I mean, even Carrie was gushing over it, and I mean, like it's a fantastic. I mean, like he nailed it. It's so good.
Man, it's you.
It's great though, because I'll be honest with you, man. I was losing a lot of hope. I've been an artist for a really long period of time, and you wax and you wane, and I've been a filmmaker back and forth, and so many amazing people. Yes, I'm going to bring Fang up. There's so many amazing people who just basically came together. And there's people who basically we didn't. I mean, some of these people I did know, like Jack who just popped up, and his wife Reno. Rena actually plays the vampire Fang. She plays a male vampire named Fang. And Jack actually came in. He was a production assistant, but he's also he plays the reindeer in our special, Stranger Danger Reindeer. Trying to think. The music is really yeah. I think what we did was, and then okay. Now here's the other thing though. Now this is the curveball that goes into the entire special. It is technically an art film because we basically got Thomas, who is our segment producer as well as a co-writer and producer, and as well as a puppeteer. He plays Thomas. I play Scott. The idea was to always bring some idea of the arts into it. So we found, he found 4 poets, and we got these 4 poets to write their own stuff. And we worked their own poetry in these little segments that we did with them shooting it themselves. It's just this bizarre hybrid thing that we just said, how do we make a movie now? How do we make something now? and we accidentally made this really bizarre, I think it's heartfelt special, that like I'm really proud of, man. And I hate to say that because I don't want to sound arrogant, because like I'm just proud of it. I want to see it for me, and it's rare as an artist sometimes to have that feeling, because with me especially, I'm filled. I don't know if anyone, a lot of people know me, probably watch this stuff, but I'm filled with so much self-hatred. Like, it is such a hobby. I'm so good at it. But when I saw this, I mean, just all the people, Matt, Libby, Jack, Rena, Dennis, Regina, Scott coming on board. I mean, these people were like family. I mean, to the point where we even had the set catered. We had food. It was just a party. It was this beautiful thing. And now we have this trailer that I'm just going to keep rambling on about until you cut me off and you show it, or until somebody who is in the crawl tells me that I'm forgetting to say somebody's name. And I'm sorry. I even have a fucking cheat sheet.
Is that the whole trailer?
No.
And Joe's mic is dead.
Wait, and Joe and Joe. See, that's what happens. That's what happens. So
We lost your audio, Mr. Ridgely.
You should
Oh, now you're back.
there we go.
freaking Mike. So was that not the right time?
No, you could. I was actually, I was laughing. I thought that was very funny. So.
The Happy Horror Holiday Spectacular, Spectacular. The Happy Horror Holiday, the hardest of the hard to sing. Happy Horror Holiday Spectacular, Spectacular. Happy Horror Holiday, the horror, hallow horror sling.
Writing alliterations, I'm walking some things. The killing through the artist and the puppets on strings.
In a vampire land.
Oh man,
So,
that is insane.
mind blown. The phantasm ball, the friggin' chainsaw arm, the gong show at the end.
Yeah, and that's
Great.
you didn't even see 1% of it, because the thing is that it's just sparkly and glittery and from another world. These people came in with me and they gave me their all. They trusted me, and I have never worked with anybody this hard. During a pandemic, and that guy Thomas Focoloro is a freaking genius, and he makes me laugh my ass off, because I'm a very hard sell for a laugh. And if somebody can make me laugh, and he's fantastic. And Dennis, our producer, I got to say about him, man, he was like my lifeline, because again, we were shooting during shooting during the middle of a pandemic. So I was losing my mind, screaming like, I have no help. I'm hanging like. But in the end, it's just something I'm very proud of, and we want to share it to everybody. So, we're going to have a date this week for a premiere, and we're going to keep everybody apprised of what's going on. We're going to post the trailer online tomorrow for everyone to start sharing. To help that thing go viral a little bit, and we hope it just brings everybody holiday spirit, because it's not about anything else other than a choice to have a good time when the world looks a little bit prettier because there's lights up. That's it.
Hey, Mr. Meaney, read that one.
Look forward to seeing this guy. Now, Tito's. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Brandon, so much.
You were supposed to read that out loud, not.
Looking forward to seeing it, Scott. I know you and the whole team you assembled are going to bring it with us. That's amazing. And Brandon,
Congratulations, Scott. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to
does.
see it. Congratulations to everybody who was involved with it. It just looks like it's going to be a blast. And I
thank
know
you guys, just by the way, for having me on, and the whole spiel, and like us being able to put it out on the platform.
That's what this platform's about, brother.
Super unique.
Thank you.
Just, that's Scott Meaney, man. The guy is just on another level with everything.
You know how I feel about compliments. I'll just nod my head.
So, Scott, we're gonna ask you where we can find everything on social media, including your artwork, please.
Well, I pretty much just right now I roll out of my Art of Scott Meaney on Instagram and just my personal Facebook account. To be truthful, this thing was this weird thing that just sort of snowballed and got out of hand. So like the Facebook page is probably going to go up this week. We're just sort of rolling this out. We just want to get it out, and it's always going to exist, and we can do anything we want with it after this. We just want to make sure that people have it in time for right after Christmas, because again, this Christmas is going to be a little bit COVID-y, for lack of a better term. And you can find my stuff on Artist Scott Meaney on Instagram, Scott Meaney on Facebook. If anybody wants to chime in and throw their stuff up that I worked with, Where to Turn I think it's wheretoturn.org is the website for the charity that we work with and where the prop shop is. Those are the things I should have written down. Man, you can't be all things, right? I don't know. But if anyone, the truth be told, I promise this because these people busted their ass for me. If I did not say anything I'm supposed to say, I will make sure that it always gets out there because I owe these people that.
I just have to interrupt for 1 second. Hey, Sean, I did pre-show. I definitely did.
Yeah, he did. He definitely mentioned the Superman. Thank you, Sean.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, brother. Keep your chin up. Your work is awesome. People love you, and be well, my friend.
Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Love you, man. Looking forward to it.
Yes. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, there's one thing I wanted to remember because it's this Tuesday. We had a guest last week, the lovely and talented Eliza Jane was on last week, and she has a game show. So this Tuesday night, at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will be on Eliza Jane's trivia show. It's on Comcast Channel 12 in Pennsylvania and Channel 240, and you can find it on CommunityNetTrivia.com if you want to watch it online. This Tuesday night, you could watch me make a buffoon of myself, which is no different than any other night you watch me on this program.
Did she give you a cheat sheet?
No.
Oh, okay.
But one of the questions when I did her show before was who directed Mr. Hush, and I got it wrong, oddly enough. So,
Zing!
With that being said, I want to thank Murray SawChuck for coming on. He was a wonderfully talented guest and a great comedian and just a really funny and just a great guy. Made our show fantastic. I want to thank Scott Meaney for coming on.
And premiering their trailer. That was phenomenal.
The trailer. Absolutely awesome. Next week's our big Christmas party show. It'll be our last show of this year. So stay tuned for the tomfoolery and shenanigans that will be happening at this place at this bat time next Sunday at 10 o'clock. An all-star cast of buffoons making
Can
Holly
you spill any of them?
I did earlier.
Can you do it again? Because apparently Luciana just got here.
Oh, okay. Hi, Luciana. Thanks for showing up late. Yes, next week we're going to have a very special reading of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, an all-star reading featuring the legendary John O'Hurley. Brian O'Halloran will stop by, and Scott Schiaffo will stop by, and Tiffany Shepis, if she's out of prison, will stop by. There's going to be, with our holiday parties, if anybody has watched this show now going on 2 years. Wow, we've done this show for 2 years, Joe.
Big.
We have all-star cast that I don't even know why these people come on my show because I'm a bubbling idiot. But it's very nice of them to come on and spend the holidays with us, and we have a wonderful time. With that being said, Scott, is there anything you want to share before we call it a night?
No, I'm good. I want to thank everybody for reaching out for my birthday. That was amazing. I'm blessed. Carrie made my birthday amazing. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you. And thanks everybody who have said nice things about my mom. There's a handful of folks out in social media that did actually know her, and that always makes me feel good to hear from people who did know her. And it's all good, man. Thank you all for tuning in, and rock on.
There's one thing before we close that I want to whore because me and Scott put a lot of effort into this. A couple of years ago, Scott, myself, iconic actor Brian O'Halloran, multi-Grammy award-winning bassist Joe Ferry, and Alan Jacks Bowers, who is a drummer who worked with Margaritaville guy. I always forget his name.
Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett. We
Who
all
was on the show?
we all convened in Alan's studio up here in the woods of Pennsylvania, and we did a Christmas EP. The band is called the Wandering Wannabes, which is a little play on the Traveling Wilburys. So if you want to have a little Christmas spirit, check out our Christmas EP, The Wandering Wannabes. Everywhere you could buy download music. We put a lot of love and a lot of effort into that Christmas record, and I think you'll have a good time. Brian's actually a really surprisingly great singer. Scott is an unbelievable musician, and I was just the handsome guy on the cover. With that being said, we'll see you guys next week for our big... What's the matter?
One question there.
Will the great William Sadler be on next week? He's invited, and if he gets... he's filming Salem's Lot, like the last time when we had him on our show. And
Yeah, he was in a hotel. His internet was totally shoddy.
Yeah. But if he can get back to his place on time, he will be reading a section of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. I assure you, we never chins on our holiday shows.
Not whatsoever.
It's the stuff of legend. So just tune in, and I guarantee post the link on the page, por favor.
For the Wandering Wannabes.
For the Wandering Wannabes. Okay.
Yes.
I
All
will
right.
post it.
And everybody else, everybody, thank you for joining us. An amazing guest tonight, Murray, Scott Meaney. Scott, looking forward to the show or the movie. Call it a movie, a show, a short, whatever it is.
Special.
Thank you.
Special.
Okay. It's going to be friggin' phenomenal. Everybody who's tuning in tonight, please make sure you go to David Lee Madison's The End of the Night, hit the like and subscribe button, and also the Indie Escape on YouTube and Facebook. We greatly appreciate it. All it is a click, doesn't cost you anything, and it means a lot to us.
And next week I will wear my feety pajamas again, but this time I will wear a down jacket, and I will completely pass out on the air. Probably to the amusement of Tiffany Shepard talking through a giant Dave head. With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy your friends and your family this holiday season, and remember, no man is a failure. No one is a failure who has friends. Be well, everybody.